I thought this was, to me, this is interesting. To other people, maybe not. But let's get into this. There is a survey that came out that this is in the U.S. 1/3 of U.S. managers say they prefer AI, using AI, over hiring Gen Z employees. Now, this could point to a lot of different things. Let's get into some of these. Is it friction and generational friction in workspaces? Is there even a generational element to it of priorities of younger people coming into the workplace? I mean, guess what? It happens with every generation that young people come into the workplace. So I don't know why this is a shocker every time young people want a workplace. So what do you attribute this to? When I shared this with you, Jenni, and it said that 1/3 would prefer AI over a human person at work. What was your response?
Genuinely, my response was, I can kind of see that. Because, I mean, we've just made some changes in our business where we're no longer using people for stuff and we're using AI for stuff. And that's not a generational shift. It's more, actually, I can do this a different way. I think it's a great headline, but I think it also comes down to two things. It comes down to the sort of tasks we're doing in organizations and the overwhelming volume of tasks that have become work since the pandemic. And the second thing, I think, is that we aren't very good at having difficult conversations at work. So where we have moved to a more remote or hybrid environment, our relationships are impacted, so we're not as connected. So that human piece is missing, which means that when people have questions or they want to ask something or they want to challenge something, that's become quite an attack. Whereas actually, people are well within their rights to ask questions and challenge stuff. Like that's human nature. But it's become a really negative thing. And like, we've kind of gone back to that, just do what I say I need you to do and don't ask me questions. And I think that's probably why a robot is more appealing in some cases, because it might ask questions, but it does it in a way that maybe feels more acceptable, and I'm more open to that, and it's not challenging something that feels like a personal attack. So that's my sort of take on it. What was yours?
This is probably getting into the semantics a bit of the language that they use.
You getting into semantics of things?
Into the
Never.
semantics. I love semantics land. I think there's an element of managers don't know how to lead anymore. They're truly just managing. It's easy to say, oh, I can just have this AI tool just do what I need it to do, instead of actually working with someone and getting them aligned. We talk about alignment all the time in comms, like getting them aligned and understanding where they're coming from and having them contribute and all of that. And I actually think for this 1/3 of people, it's a little bit of a cop-out. It's this isn't comms managers. This is managers across the business. So this is, if you're in a comms leadership role, these are your peers in engineering or purchasing or health and safety, whatever it is. 1/3 of them would rather just use an AI tool than hire a real human being. To me, it feels like a cop-out of not wanting to build and coach and lead people.
But is that because no one's told people what's expected of them as a leader? So I asked a question on LinkedIn a while ago, which is there like a playbook or a guide in your organization of what it is to be a leader or to line manage, like what that looks like in your organization? And I think around 80% of people said no, and it's not on our list to do, which surprises me in the current climate. But I think I see what you're saying about like, it's like a bit of a cop out, but if no one's told you what it means to be a manager or a leader, and all you're seeing is more time needed to go on something, then the opportunity to not spend time on that because no one's helped me understand why that's important is probably quite appealing. Now, I know it should be a given that you should know how important that is and you should know what it means to be a manager and a leader, but it's not. Like, it isn't at all. And I think that it's just seen as more time and more task without understanding why that's important.
I wonder too if it comes down to, again, I really promised I would try to leave my jerk hat off on these episodes. However, there's an element, if you have to be told how to lead, are you a leader? If you have to be
Yes.
told how to
Yeah.
manage, are you a manager? Like, is that just where like people get promoted because we're going to come back to the word want. They want to be a manager. They want to be a leader. Great. Maybe you need to be taught those things. But I also think there's people out there who that is just who they are. They don't have to read the playbook. They don't have to read the handbook to know, oh, this is how you lead a team. This is how you lead an organization. And we probably see that. It's one of those things you see. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. When you see those
Yeah.
people who are just natural leaders and natural managers and get the team involved and get people going in the right direction, like you see that. And the ones that are struggling, are they just not suited for it?
Well, yeah, no, I mean, you have got your jerk hat on there a little bit. So, if you, so you can build all the skills to be a leader, but there are people that are naturally better at it than others. But there's also a lot required to be a really good leader. And as someone who's probably I have been on that journey, I know that when I first managed somebody, I really probably wasn't very good. I didn't really know what I was doing. I wasn't sure how to give them enough space to do stuff while also making sure we got stuff done. There was definitely stuff I didn't do well. And over the years and learning, I've got much better at that in terms of how to do that. And that is experience and time. I always joke that there'll be people that will look at the books I've written and be like, sure, she's written that book. Because they remember me from like 20 years ago. But that's growth, right? I'm taking that. But I think, no, you can definitely build it. And I think if you've got a desire to be a manager and a desire to be a leader, then it is your duty to learn what are the skills and things involved in doing that. And I think it's also, to your point, it's recognizing that it is a skill. And I think if you just think you're either good at it or you're not, you'll never learn it. Whereas I think we have to recognize that actually that is quite a skill to be able to lead and manage people so they follow you and you're all going in the same direction. That is something we should invest in and learn, I think.
One thing I don't want us to do though is cop out to the generational element. I
Oh
think
no,
it's
I'm a
easy to
big
point to that.
yeah.
I think we all know, I think it's been established that Gen X is the strongest, like best generation out there. Like we are the glue holding the world together. The most accepting of all generations. I'm just speaking on behalf of Gen X. So I don't think it's a generational thing. I think that's the cop out for me.
Yeah.
Is that I don't want
Yeah.
to mess with this that's come on.
Yeah. And the thing I'm trying to find at the moment is where people say, like, this generation is the most stressed. I'm like, well, where's the research of previous generations at that age for a comparison about how stressed that generation was at that age versus this do you know what I mean? Because I think otherwise it's not comparable. And how do you know? Because if they're more stressed compared to other generations, that's a different thing. But actually, if everyone, when they are in that age bracket of, say, mid-20s, no matter who we are now, when we're at that age, you're the most stressed in life because it's such a significant shift in how you make friends, how you do stuff, all of those things, then that's different. But I did my diploma paper on generational theory and what that would mean for work. And in that, I thought you can't really group the whole world together based on a time period and say everyone here has got exactly the same characteristics. Because even though we're saying that Gen Z are the digital natives, they grew up with technology, I'm not entirely sure how true that is for the whole world when there's a lot of digital poverty out there, and that's often something we don't talk about. So I'm with you on I don't like the generational sweeping statements. I don't think it's helpful. I think it's a massive label that leaves us able to excuse things which, quite frankly, shouldn't be excused.